What's up, world? This is me once again, Ricky Prestige from Prestige Speaks. I'm glad you decided to click on that video and take a little bit of time out your day to learn about thoughts not being private. Thoughts are not private. What do I mean by that? See, people that are empaths, people that already pick up energy, already know that thoughts are not private, but they may not know how deep of an extent this really is. See, I always focus on the metaphysical. I always focus on the spiritual aspect of it. I always focus on the things behind the scene. So when we think about our thoughts, most people say, okay, I can think a thought. Nobody's going to know that. Nobody's going to feel that. Nobody's going to pick up on that, which is not true. See, our thoughts are energy. So you can feel what a person is thinking without them even saying it. You can feel a person's emotions without them saying a word. You can see people's agendas. You can look at body language and really see what a person is thinking. So our thoughts are never really private. See, each thought is what we call a thought form. And I want to go into that a little bit further. See, your thoughts are not just yours. Every thought you think, every emotion you put energy into doesn't just stay in your head. It takes form. And not only do your thoughts shape your reality, but they also interact with a hidden world of mental and energetic entities. Let's talk about thought forms, egregores. If I'm saying it wrong, excuse me. I'm from South Georgia. But egregores are always affecting us, are always around us, the unseen realm of thoughts. So what's a thought form? See, a thought form is an energetic construct created by focused thought and emotion. That's what magic is all about. That's what creating your reality is all about. That's what manifesting is all about. Some thoughts can just be fleeting. They just be in and out. Just us worrying about something real quick. It may not have that much energy behind it. But if we put enough emotional energy behind it, if we continue to repeat this thought form, it can have an ability to influence the mental and astral plane, influencing things that resonate around us, influencing our behavior. You ever walked into a room and you just felt the tension? Because that's not just a metaphor. It's the result of the thought forms and the energy in that particular room. Strong emotions and the repeated thoughts is what creates a thought form. Now, a thought form doesn't always have to be negative. A thought form can be positive. But most of the time, a lot of people are creating negative thought forms in their own world. You keep thinking about it. People will think about something over and over again. They'll have a worry. They'll have a trauma. And then they feel like they're stuck in a loop or a cycle because we've created this prison of thought forms that won't allow us to get past these thoughts that we keep repeating to ourselves. And then when you put the sadness and the emotion behind it, then it takes form. And this can get to a point where it can be its own entity, have a mind of its own. Then we go more into what we were talking about earlier, which is egregore. Let me explain that real quick. So an egregore is a more structured and often more powerful version of a thought form. And it's not created just by individuals, but this is when a group of people collectively feed into an energy. Let me say that again. That's when a group of people collectively feed into a thought form. So it got more power, more emotion. And a lot of these things that we see on TV and a lot of this propaganda and things, that's what they know. They know they can create their own entity based on enough people being behind it with their thought forms and enough emotion behind it. This can be positive and negative. Some examples of an egregore can be corporations, religions, political movements, and even social media at this point. These are all egregores. They are not just ideas. They become living forces that influence the behavior, thoughts, and emotions of those connected to it. See, in ancient times, they would use things like egregores to protect themselves. They would do rituals and create these things to bring things into their life, which you still can do. But now these egregores are more used in hidden agendas. See, you can work for a corporation And they could be saying something totally different with the policies and what they represent in these different things, but something in your heart doesn't feel right. You may feel like they're exploiting the customers. You may feel like they're lying to you, because you have to look further. You have to see what's the egregore behind that. What's the thought form? What's the entity that's pushing that particular corporation or religion or group or whatever we sign ourselves up for? Because we're not exempt from thought forms and egregores, because that's what makes this world up. But being consciously aware that it exists, then we can choose consciously which things that we want to align our vibration with, which thought forms that we want to believe in, which thought forms do we want to keep thinking for ourselves, so we can create our own egregore and our own entity to do our bidding and create the reality that we wish to have. See, when we go into these companies and when we gain access to these groups, like you could see people now, you can see it all day on social media. When people are part of a certain group, they talk a certain way, they walk a certain way, they wear a certain type of clothes, they all think in unison. This is a collective thought form that is influencing their behavior, influencing the things that they say. They may continue to watch those videos on those things. They may line up with things that line up with their beliefs. They may attack people that are not part of their beliefs. And these egregores can take you out of your character, because you're not operating as yourself. You're really operating as the company. So thoughts aren't private. Thoughts are always spreading. We have to realize that we have to think to ourselves, are these thoughts even mine? We're always being influenced by an ocean of thought energy. We're always being influenced by thought forms. We're always being influenced by egregores. It doesn't have to necessarily be looked at as good or bad. It more so has to just be consciously aware. See, people are just walking around and not even aware that their thoughts aren't private, not even aware that repeated thoughts can create a prison for yourself, an entity for yourself. And if it's negative, then who knows what may come from that particular thought form or that egregore. And sometimes people are just blinded to it all the way around. We're picking up these thought forms like radio signals, frequencies tuned into certain radio frequencies. So certain people may not even be affected by certain thought forms because they can't even fathom it. They can't even think in that way. That's why sometimes when you talk to people about certain ideas you have, they can't even see that, because they haven't even picked up that particular thought form. So that's what I wanted to talk about when I say that. We can strengthen our mental boundaries. We can strengthen our own thought forms. We can strengthen ourselves so we don't be affected by the intrusive thought forms or intrusive egregores with hidden agendas that doesn't match our vibration, our values, or are not in alignment with who we truly are on a deep soul level. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Just remember, your thoughts are more than just something that just flees in your mind. Your thoughts aren't private, because they're always being broadcasted out in the spiritual world. Thank you for listening. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy your day.